A nuclear-capable missile system has just been shown operating outside of Russian territory, not in Russia itself, but in a neighboring country that borders NATO. There is no imminent nuclear threat. But this was not an accident. It was not a leak. It was a deliberate signal, and in nuclear deterrence, signals matter. Today, we examine what Russia's latest missile deployment in Belarus means for long-term nuclear stability in Europe, and what it does not mean. This is the DEFCON warning system. Over the past 24 hours, Russian state media released official video footage showing a nuclear-capable missile systems deployed on the territory of Belarus. This development does not represent an immediate nuclear threat, and it does not warrant a change in the current DEFCON level. At present, we remain at Condition Green, DEFCON 5. However, the deployment is strategically significant, and it is worth examining why. The footage released by Russia shows missile units operating openly from Belarusian territory, accompanied by statements confirming that the systems involved are capable of carrying nuclear warheads. This is not the first time Russia has announced plans to deploy nuclear-related assets in Belarus. Training exercises and infrastructure preparations have been reported previously. What makes this event notable is the visibility. The footage was professionally produced, publicly released, and clearly intended to be seen by foreign governments, analysts, and the general public. This was not about secrecy or surprise. It was about demonstration. Belarus is a close military and political ally of Russia, and since the start of the Ukraine war it has increasingly functioned as a rear operating area for Russian forces. Placing nuclear-capable systems there positions them closer to NATO territory, particularly Poland and the Baltic states. From a strictly military perspective, this deployment does not transform Russia's nuclear capabilities. Russia already possesses the ability to strike targets across Europe and beyond from within its own borders. Forward deployment in Belarus does not create a new strike capability. The importance of this move lies not in what the weapons can do, but in how they are being used politically. This is a classic example of nuclear signaling. By visibly deploying nuclear-capable systems outside its own territory, Russia is reinforcing the idea that nuclear weapons remain an active part of its deterrence posture, not a distant, theoretical last resort. Nuclear stability depends heavily on predictability and clarity. Forward-deployed nuclear systems introduce several long-term risks. First, misinterpretation. Routine military movements, exercises, or alerts can be mistaken for escalation, particularly during periods of heightened tension. Second, compressed decision-making. Weapons positioned closer to potential adversaries reduce warning times and increase pressure on early warning systems and political leaders. Third, entanglement. If a conventional conflict were to expand geographically, nuclear-capable systems stationed in Belarus could become involved indirectly, even if no nuclear use is intended. It is important to stress. There is no indication that Russia is preparing to use nuclear weapons. But stability is not determined by intent alone. It is shaped by posture, geography, and perception, and those factors are changing incrementally. For NATO, this development is unlikely to trigger an immediate shift in posture. However, it reinforces existing trends. Increased intelligence and surveillance activity. Continued reinforcement of NATO's eastern members. Ongoing emphasis on readiness and missile defense. These responses are predictable, and predictability helps maintain stability, but they also deepen a long-running cycle in which nuclear signaling begets counter-signaling. This deployment does not bring the world closer to nuclear war today. But it does reflect a broader pattern, the the gradual return of nuclear weapons to visible, day-to-day geopolitical messaging. The more nuclear systems are used to send political signals, the more they become woven into routine military activity, and that is where long-term risk accumulates. We will continue to monitor this situation closely and assess whether future developments materially affect strategic stability. For now, there is no change to the DEFCON level. As always, be informed, be prepared, be safe. This is the DEFCON warning system.